guys, I'm Steph and welcome back to my beauty stash. Today we're going to be talking about foundations. If you can believe it, I have narrowed this down to 5 of my all-time favorite foundations. I don't know how I narrowed it down, but I did. I am going to be sharing with you foundations that I have worn at least for the last 2 years, if not more. They've always been in my stash at some point in my life, and these are foundations that will always remain in my stash. They have been repurchased time and time again, and I feel very comfortable, very confident in recommending them to you guys. Now, just for reference, I am 38 years old and I am a normal to oily skin type. Oily mainly in my T-zone. My problem area, guys, are my large visible pores and right here under my eyes where I have the most texture. And like right in this area right here, that is where foundation, concealer, powder, those three, if they don't work well together, I'm gonna know it almost instantaneously. As soon as I apply that powder, it starts to cake up. I know the combination is not a good one. And guys, I grew up with problematic skin, with acne prone skin. It wasn't until I started getting into, I guess I would say mid to late 20s is when my skin started to clear up. But I do have old acne scars and I do have large pores, especially on my cheeks. And you wouldn't necessarily think that that's where you would have the largest pores, but I do, like right in here and then on my nose and on this area right here. This is where I had a lot of the acne and a little bit on my forehead as well. So I do have some old scarring there, and this is where I primarily want the most coverage. Now, even though I am a normal to oily skin type, I do love me a nice dewy foundation. I like to have a glow to my skin, but you're gonna be surprised. A lot of these foundations, or I think the majority of them, they're pretty matte foundations, but they do end up giving me a glow just because of my skin type throughout the day. So these are tried and true foundations in my stash, guys, and I cannot wait to share them with you. If you want to see my top 5 favorite foundations of all time, keep on watching. All right, guys, so let's get started with foundation number 1. And really quick, if you're wondering about the eye look I have going on, it is on my Instagram. I believe you will see that video before you see this one. So definitely head over to my Instagram. It's at Steff's Beauty Stash to check out the tutorial on this Kaleidos eyeshadow look. So let's start with the foundation that I'm wearing today, and that is from Dior. This is the Dior Air Flash foundation. I wear the shade 200 in this one. Guys, this is a spray foundation, okay? Now, what I do, how I like to apply this foundation is you make sure you shake it really, really well, and then you just spray it directly onto your beauty sponge. And this is the exact same beauty sponge that I used today. I'll just put a little bit down here just because I do have powder on most of my face right now. But this foundation is so beautiful on the skin. Don't spray it directly onto your face. Just spray your damp beauty sponge. I used, I think, 3 sprays today to do my entire face, and I even got to build it up a little bit on my cheeks, but I did add a little bit of concealer just in those areas where I want that extra coverage. This is a beautiful, like a natural finish foundation. At least on me, I think it leaves a natural finish. It does a good job with longevity as well. I don't find that this sets into fine lines. I don't find that it accentuates my pores. I just think it looks beautiful on the skin. It is very expensive. And guys, I tend to not always reach for this one just because I want to save it. But earlier this morning, I read a quote that said, "Don't save anything for a special occasion. Being alive is a special occasion." And that just really stayed with me throughout the day. So I'm definitely going to be reaching for this foundation more often. It also says that it is water resistant and it does provide 12-hour wear. I would say I get a good 9-hour wear out of this. Like, to where it looks pretty decent, I would go with about the 9-hour mark. As far as it being water resistant, I believe I've had this on when I've worked out, and I mean, nothing weird is going on or anything like that. But usually when I work out, it's towards the end of the day anyway. So, you know, makeup is already kind of rubbed off anyway, just from the day's wear. But I do really like this foundation. I've repurchased it. I think this is my 3rd or 4th bottle of it, and I just love the finish of it. I really think that Dior makes some of the best foundations and concealers on the market. Next up is, I think, the foundation that I've worn the longest, because I remember being in high school and buying this foundation, and this is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup. I use the shade 1N1 Ivory Nude, and I've just, again, I'm 38 years old, so when I was in high school, that was 20 years ago, and I was using this foundation then, and I'm still using it today. So that obviously says something great about this foundation. It provides amazing coverage. You want something that's going to be full coverage, this is a great foundation. I don't find that it cakes up on me throughout the day. It just stays looking really good. Like, I get a good solid 10-hour plus wear out of this one. Now, the only downside about this foundation is it doesn't come with a pump. So I do believe Estee Lauder is selling pumps for them, so that's always something that you can purchase on the side. But I'm really hoping to see that they kind of redo their packaging, because this thing's been around for years, and I think we would all appreciate it coming with a pump from now on. But guys, if you're looking for a full coverage foundation that's going to keep your skin in check, going to be a mattifying foundation, especially if you're more on the oily side of skin types, I think you're going to enjoy this one. If you haven't tried it already, which I'm sure many of you have, this, guys, is always in my stash. And again, like Dior, Estee Lauder makes some amazing foundations, and I was kind of torn because there's 2 other Estee Lauder foundations that I have in my stash that I absolutely love. So this, narrowing it down to 5 foundations, was really difficult for me, especially when it came to looking at Dior and Estee Lauder, because those are really good manufacturers of foundation. If you want a nice full coverage foundation and you don't mind paying, you know, the higher price tag for it, Dior, Estee Lauder, they make some fantastic ones. So far, guys, these 2 beauties, definitely repurchases, definitely will always be in my stash. Next, let's talk about one from the drugstore. And this one is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro-Matte Foundation. I use the shade 103 in this one, and I jump back and forth between shades. Sometimes I just mix the shades together. I love this foundation. This foundation, like the Double Wear from Estee Lauder, just lasts so well on my skin. Like, I get a good 10 to 12 hour wear out of this foundation, and it doesn't look cakey. I don't look greasy. I'm not a grease ball, oily. It just does such a good job on my normal to oily skin and just smooths out my skin, doesn't settle into fine lines. It doesn't build up in my pores. It just like smooths out my skin. I really love this foundation. I especially love the price tag of this foundation. I cannot tell you how many times I've repurchased this one, but like the others, guys, it is always going to have a place in my stash. And I even have the more dewy version or the glowy version of this one. And sometimes I will mix them together, but more often than not, guys, I'm reaching for this one. Out of all the brands at the drugstore, when it comes to foundation, I think L'Oreal just does an amazing job. And L'Oreal makes a lot of my favorite foundations at the drugstore, but I narrowed it down to this one. I've just enjoyed it for so long. And if you're looking for a good full coverage foundation at the drugstore, I would definitely try this one out. Next up is another brand that does foundation super well. And this is the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation. This one does have SPF 15. And I believe this one is on sale right now. Where did I see it on sale? At Ulta or Sephora? I don't know, guys, but I'll have all of these foundations linked in the description box down below, and it's Black Friday weekend, so I'm pretty sure you can find one, if not all of these foundations on sale somewhere. But this foundation comes in so many different shades. I use the shade 140 in this one, and this also does a great job of lasting a full workday. Like, I can get a good 12-hour wear out of this little foundation. This one does come with the pump, and I just find that it looks so great at about the 8-hour mark, the 9-hour mark, where you would think foundation would start, you know, kind of breaking apart, looking a little bit cakey. This one doesn't. I remember wearing it, I think I was wearing it like 2 weeks ago, and I looked in the mirror, and this was already, I was driving home from work, and I was like, whoa, like my skin looks pretty good. And I thought to myself, what foundation am I wearing? And sometimes I forget, right? Because it's, you know, I applied it 9-10 hours ago. And then I remembered, oh yeah, it's the Lancome foundation. And sometimes like it just impresses me, and I've really been loving this foundation. I've had this foundation, it's already the second bottle that I'm on. It's been in my stash for a couple years now. I absolutely enjoy it, and I highly recommend it. And guys, last but not least is one of my favorite foundations that I think might be getting discontinued pretty soon. So if it's one of your foundations too, you might want to pick it up, although I'm not too sure. I just heard somewhere that it might be getting discontinued. I'm not entirely sure. This is the Too Faced Peach Perfect Foundation. Now, this is an oil-free 14-hour wear, oil controlling, photo friendly foundation, and it's supposed to be a comfort matte formula. I have always found that this foundation doesn't leave my skin completely matte. Like, it has a nice little glow to it while still being matte. So maybe it's like a natural matte. I'm not too sure how you would describe it, but I have always liked this foundation for that reason alone. It provides a great amount of coverage. It keeps me matte while still allowing a nice glow to come through on my skin. It does a great job of lasting the entire workday. I think it just looks beautiful. It applies really beautifully. I have this in 2 different shades, and the shade I have here is called Snow. And this foundation just provides beautiful coverage while just laying so nicely on the skin. Guys, you all know that I am a huge fan of the Peach Perfect line. I have the setting powder as well. I have a concealer. I have several other different things. For me, that Peach Perfect line that Too Faced created, it's just worked so well on my normal to oily skin. I absolutely love this foundation. I think this one has a slight little peach scent to it. And out of all the foundations, I would say this is the only one that has that slight fragrance to it, but it's something that dissipates really quickly. So don't think that you're gonna be smelling like peaches all day long. It goes away really, really fast. This one does come with a pump, so I do love that. And this one is always, for as long as they make it, going to stay in my stash. And guys, once again, all of the foundations that I showed you all will be linked in the description box down below in case you are interested in checking any of them out. They will be affiliate links, so if you do end up purchasing, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. Now that we've covered all 5 of my favorite foundations, I'm going to insert some swatches that I did of all 5 of these foundations, both in natural lighting and indoors with flash. All right, guys, so those were my top 5 favorite foundations of all time. What did you guys think of the ones that made my list? Guys, I can honestly say that these have been in my stash for years. They are foundations that I've repurchased time and time again. And as long as they keep making these foundations, they will always have a place here in my beauty stash. So guys, I want to hear what your favorite foundations are. What do you like that maybe didn't make my top 5? Let me know in the comments down below, especially if there's one that you want me to try or that you want me to demo, because y'all know I love to do a good foundation review and wear test video, which, by the way, I will be having a new foundation wear test probably at the end of next week. And it's that new tinted moisturizer from Urban Decay. You guys know I had to pick it up, and I will definitely be reviewing it for you guys so we can see how it is going to wear. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water. Cheers. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.